Before we get started, guys, I just wanted to take a moment to recognize the firefighters and the first responders in Nevada who have been fighting these fires all week. They've been working around the clock to keep the state safe, and just want to say to all of them, thank you from the UFC. So let's start with that. The attendance tonight was 16,024. Was sold out. It was a $22 million gate. It was the highest grossing. It was the highest grossing UFC event, highest grossing event at the Sphere, and we broke our record for #1 merch sales in UFC history for this event. Let's see. Bahamondes and Ketlin, performance of the night, and then obviously Esteban and Zellhuber won fight of the night. They all won $50,000. What's up? Who's first?
Dana, did the event live up to what you expected, and was there anything that you wanted to do that you didn't do that now you wish you had?
Literally, the whole thing was seamless. It went perfect. We didn't have a lot of time to rehearse. That was our big, worry coming in here, but they nailed it. The team absolutely nailed it. I mean, I saw it, like I told you guys before, I saw it first when it was like 50% resolution. Then I was in here the other day for Thursday was our first full rehearsal, and Thursday was our first full rehearsal for that show. So the team killed it. It was absolutely amazing.
So does that, given the fact that you said yesterday it would be very profitable, it was an extremely good event tonight, do you change your mind about it being one and done?
No. I'm under contract with MGM. So, yeah, I'm under contract. You know, this thing, I told you guys leading up to this, the way that this whole thing played out, tonight was meant to happen. So it happened. We did it. We killed it. And, I have literally been getting blown up by everybody about this event. And I guess we did, the other thing that we accomplished is it translated well onto television too. I feel like people felt like it was a different experience than they get on a normal Saturday night for a UFC event.
Just wanted to get you to comment a little at length about the Zellhuber-Rubovic fight, and especially in the one round when, I think it was the second round, when he looked like he was going out, and for that kid to come back and fight back and land a couple shots at the end. I mean, the balls he showed, and just kind of the heart that he showed in that at the end was incredible.
Yeah, I mean that's why that's the fight of the night. I mean, those guys were literally going toe to toe. Both of them got hurt. Both of them recovered and kept swinging. It was incredible fight.
Is that rank up there with Henderson and Shogun and some of the best fights you've seen?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's one of the best fights I've ever seen.
And I want, Valentina's strategy was effective, but it kind of sucked the life out of the room. How disappointing was that to see that fight and sort of just, you could hear a pin drop as they were fighting? You
can put on $20 million worth of production, but you can't control the fights. They're going to be what they are. So I cannot let that drive me crazy.
And then just your thought on the main event. I mean, it seemed like an odd beginning there with Merab calling timeout, and I guess there was a kiss apparently.
Well, no, he didn't call timeout. What happened was Merab and O'Malley's corner were screaming at each other the whole beginning of the fight. They were yelling at each other back and forth, and then Herb Dean stepped in and told them to knock it off. And then the kissing in the back and standing up and walking away before the bell, that I have no idea. Merab does some shit. You know what I mean? It was weird, but not shocking.
His performance was what everybody would have expected. Were you disappointed with Sean? Sean had fire in that last little bit when he was throwing those body kicks, but you didn't seem to see that fire from Sean maybe throughout that you might have expected.
I don't disagree with you. He looked flat. He didn't look sharp. He didn't look crisp until the last round. He hurt him with that body shot. He knew he hurt him with the body shot, and he kept going in and trying to finish, but yeah, I don't agree. I mean, I looked at the punch stats. There's like 6 in a couple of the rounds. So,
Do you feel like, I don't know if you can put your finger on why he performed the way he did, but there was so many expectations on him, and this card was built and got so much hype, and then he is the star of the card. Do you think that might have impacted him in any way?
You'd have to ask him that. I don't know the answer to that question, but I think that he's one of those kids that lives for moments like this. This is what he's all about. He's that guy. I think that I don't know if he just got in there tonight and fell flat. Some nights it's just is what it is.
And then finally, where does this night rank in your greatest nights since you work with the UFC? Because given everything you pulled off, and given, except for the last two fights, it was an unbelievable night of fights. Where does it rank in your pantheon of great nights?
Yeah, it's right up there with COVID. Going through COVID was really tough, challenging, and then this is the same thing. We didn't have enough time to pull this event off. We didn't have enough time to rehearse this event. We spent shitloads of money on the production, and now when I kept telling you guys, I'm in this thing $17 million, I'm in this thing $20 million. You get the $20 million now, right? You saw it tonight. This is as good as the production quality in this building tonight was off the charts, and the thing that made this so told you this was meant to happen, and doing Mexican Independence Day in the Sphere, you're actually telling a story. There's a story to be told rather than just fights. Because if you just do fights on a regular fight night, somebody came up to me and said, "This is so fucking awesome. You got to do 4th of July now for America." But the point is, there's stories to be told, and this was the perfect place to tell Mexican Independence Day story.
Last question for me, and I kind of alluded to this at the beginning, but was there anything that the building was technically capable of doing
that we didn't do?
That was brought up to you that you didn't do?
No. Anybody in the haptic seats? Did you feel it tonight? No. It was pretty cool. The seats. We did everything. Everything that, from the audio to the seats to you name it. We did everything that this building's capable of doing, and some things it's not capable of doing. That wasn't set up for. Just to give you guys an idea, think about this. For 30 years, we've had that center hung lighting grid above the octagon, right? And, in that is lighting, cameras, microphones, audio, all that shit in the center. That thing went away. We had to figure out how to make that go away and make it look good on television and make it look good in-house. It took 4 months to do that. It took 4 months to figure that out. And they were still, did you guys look up and sometimes you'd see the light shining through? That was the lighting grid that they actually installed, our people installed behind the panels. So then the question is, that's 300 feet. The lighting grid's 40 feet. 300 feet, 40 feet, and you have to have, you can't have shadows in the octagon, shadows on their bodies. And it took 4 months just to do that, just to give you some perspective, because nobody will ever really understand how hard this was.
In the front, right here. Was there any medical updates on Irene and Brian? Because you shared those photos of Irene's face was gashed open and Brian's eye was swollen shut.
Yeah, they got some stitches. That's about it. But they were transported for obviously head and face scans, and I think they're good. I think they came back good.
And at the press conference, you told all the fans show up early, show up on time, and it seems almost at capacity for the Royal Roses.
Yeah.
So Vegas, obviously, you get the trickle-ins for the main cards. Usually, you can count everyone in the stands for the first fight. But were you pleasantly surprised that you were almost at capacity before the first fight even went down?
Yeah, listen, that's what this was all about. It was about the Sphere. So. You don't want to show up at 8, you know what I mean? And people were interested. People wanted to see it. People wanted to experience it. So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Did anyone hit you up about all the Easter eggs that you said you...
Yeah, no, I don't know. Is Eric in here?
John Morgan got them all.
Oh, you did?
His wife did.
There's no way.
He was sitting next to me. He told me they did it.
We haven't gone through all the submissions yet.
Huh?
We haven't gone through all the submissions yet.
How many submissions are there?
I'll get that for you before the end of this.
Give me a ballpark.
I have no idea.
All right. We have no idea what's going on right now.
Dana, to your left. Diego Lopez, if it wasn't for Alex Pereira, Diego Lopez would probably be the fight of the year. Can you talk about his performance tonight against a stud like Brian Ortega?
Yeah, so what was fascinating to me was he hurt him, drops him, right out the gates, and then jumps on top of him instead of having him stand back up and trying to finish him. Almost like he wanted to submit him or something, I don't know if that was the case, but I think he made the fight a lot tougher than it had to be for him. And I think a lot of people were sleeping on him because of the Ige fight. And, yeah, he definitely put that behind him.
On this night, I know before we didn't get a chance to see it, but now that we've seen it, is there anything that you take away from what you did tonight and apply it to future cards?
Tons of things, yeah. There's lots of cameras that we use tonight, drones that we use tonight. And, yeah, some of this stuff will spill over into our production moving forward.
Did you get a chance to enjoy?
Not really, no, I don't. I don't ever enjoy it. It's actually a sick, disgusting thing that I have. It's like we build these things up and I want them to be over. You know what I mean? I just want to get through it. It's not a fun way to do it, but it's how I don't know how I sort of deal with it. Yeah.
And I know you mentioned there's going to be a documentary on this, right?
Yep.
Do we have any idea when this is going to be put together?
They're filming it right now.
Well done.
There you go. You're in it.
Thanks.
Dana, right here in front of you.
Yep.
You set the goal at greatest live sporting event that's ever been done. So you said it went perfect. It was seamless. Do you feel?
I'm not the guy to answer that. You guys are. You guys are here. Listen, the thing went off perfectly, exactly the way we wanted it to go. I don't know if you've ever seen anything like this. If you have, I don't know where the fuck you live or where you came from, but yeah, that's up to you and the fans to determine what happened here tonight. I'm actually looking forward to hearing about it. But yeah, no, that's up to everybody else. I know what we did here tonight. You couldn't possibly know everything that I know and how hard this was to pull off. And that's why when I was saying, and I wasn't trying to be shitty. I hope I didn't come off that way. People are like, well, U2. I said, well, how would you compare it to U2? I said, U2 is crayons compared to what we're going to do in here on Saturday night. So you saw what happened here tonight. I mean, you see when we were going through, the legends of Mexico and of boxing, and then the guy turns his fist into it's just, there's so many little details. If I put you through and you watch the show 25 times, you'd see new things that you didn't see the first time. There's so much detail in this thing, and the marigold scene is incredible, coming out of the mouth of the skull, and just the team absolutely murdered this thing. And we all knew going into tonight what we had, but we had to execute. We still had to deliver and make it look seamless.
You also said that you thought that maybe after people had seen this, that it would actually change the way that maybe some venues even build themselves.
Right.
Like, do you feel do you still feel that way after watching it?
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you fucking got mascots bouncing off trampolines and dunking basketballs and shit. You got jugglers. And, I mean, I've been to a lot of NBA games, They got some weird shit going on at halftime. You know what I mean? So imagine if you started building these arenas where you could actually really do entertaining stuff. Listen, this was my vision for this fight. These people that build these arenas, the whole arena game is starting to go to another level. I actually had a meeting here tonight about an arena that we're probably going to be a part of here in Las Vegas. So the whole game is changing. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I guess to expand on that, and this might seem kind of silly or dramatic, but is this the future of sports? Do you think that eventually, and technology is just coming leaps and bounds every year to year. Is this what the future of sports entertainment looks like? Live sporting events?
It should. I mean, listen, I talked a lot of shit for a lot of years about boxing, Showtime, even HBO, who I considered the gold standard of it. In 30 years, the only thing that changed in boxing was HD. You know what I mean? So I always like to push the envelope and try to make it better. When new technology comes out, I try to raise the bar because I think it should be. It's easy to I could just say fuck it and go put on fights every Saturday. We sell out. We do great. All these things happen, but I like to not only and for my team, my production crew, what these guys pulled off and what they did, we should be already without tonight. We should be fucking stepping over Emmys at the office, but we got 2.
And then last thing for you, so knowing what this process looked like and what your team accomplished, do you see another league trying to pull anything even close to this off? Do you see NBA? Do you see any type of other sport trying to do something similar to what you did tonight?
It would have to be. You ain't going to see it in boxing. Boxing isn't going to do it, unless Turkey loved this tonight and he comes in and buys the fucking sphere and puts on, he might do it. I shouldn't say not boxing with him floating around. But, it would take NBA or, one of these companies that, has tons of money. And, yeah, I wouldn't say no. We showed everybody tonight what's possible. You can do more than concerts here, and you can pull them off, and you can make them great. Who's next? So, who's next?
Dana? This was your love letter to Mexico. Are you ready to do like a love letter to Brazil or a love letter to Japan?
Well, I told you, these guys were asking me tonight to do the 4th of July and do the American one. But what's your question?
Not necessarily do it in the sphere, but like a love letter to Brazil in Brazil or a love letter to Japan in Japan, something like.
It was Mexican Independence Day.
Yeah.
That was the theme here tonight.
In the future, is that something that
I haven't even thought about it. I'm just wrapping up my love letter to Mexico. I haven't thought about any other love letters yet.
are you expecting to get a text from Kendrick Lamar or Terrence Crawford?
I was talking to Terrence Crawford, who I don't want to call him. I don't know who the hell did that and thought it was, that was pretty bad. He did kind of look like Kendrick Lamar, though. Let's not fuck around. He kind of did look like Kendrick Lamar. But yeah, that was. Hey, so when I said we had a flawless production tonight, I take that back. Yeah, there was the one. That was that. Yeah.
You mentioned boxing. Terrence Crawford wasn't the only notable boxing name in here. So how did it feel to have some big boxing names show up to the sphere for UFC?
No, it was cool, especially with boxing going on right down the street. No, it was cool. Yeah, appreciate it.
Obviously, you guys are really good at promoting fighters, giving them opportunities, putting them out there. 3 of the main card winners weren't even in the UFC just over 2 years ago. So how does it feel to see the guys like that just crack into the sport and get big wins in the sphere, one of the biggest events ever?
Yeah, so what we try to do is we do so many of these fights, in a month between, depending on what time of the year it is, between fight nights, pay-per-views, Contender Series, The Ultimate Fighter, and all the other stuff that we do. It's easy for people to kind of slip through the cracks. So we literally just built a board in the war room where we take, the people that we thought looked the best in the last event. It could be Contender, it could be any of these things, and they go on a board that we see every day with all their, all their stats and information. And it's a great question because we literally just created this board at the office for that.
Dana over here.
Yep.
Dana, you've been asked a lot about, the history of it. Can you just talk about this year? You've had UFC 300, the Sphere. You announced the full card for John Jones coming back to headline Madison Square Garden.
Abu Dhabi card's badass, too.
You've had a great run of main events through all the pay-per-views this year.
And wait till you see December.
Who do you got?
I'll tell you when I'm ready.
Oh, man. Can you speak to the strength of the UFC brand in 2024 and where you guys are at considering everything that's happened this year?
Well, I say this every year. I mean, every year I'm like, how do we beat this year? And then here we are in 2024. We just did all the things that you just mentioned, and we're going into 25. How do we beat 24? It's just we always figure out a way. We always seem to do it. And the great thing about this business, and that I love, and like me wanting to do the Sphere, some things will pop up that you don't understand. I mean, not that you don't, that you didn't expect to happen, and I jump on them when they pop up. I jump on it. So, I mean, it's probably a bad example, but at one point I was talking about Elon Musk versus Mark Zuckerberg. So, any crazy shit that pops up in front of me, and I was legit negotiating with the Coliseum in Italy to do that fight, legitimately in negotiations with them, and they don't let anything happen over there. And this was going to be in the actual Coliseum. So, just making a point there that when things pop up, I'm the first guy to jump on it and try to make it happen.
So they said they were going to build an arena on the moon. Is Dana White down for UFC Astro?
You know I would. You know I would.
Finally, when Fight Island happened, you talked about, similar things. The merch went off, the fans just kind of gravitated to the idea, and it just had a life of its own. In as few words as you can, because I know it's a lot, how did the Noche UFC what do you think is it that connected just from the fans to the company that this has just taken off with the life that it has?
That's a great question. So I had a bunch of people that would tell me, they'd come up to me all the time and say, I became a fan because I watched The Ultimate Fighter on Spike TV or on Fox. I became a huge fan of the UFC. Then now people come up to me and say, I became a fan during COVID. Literally just met a couple people this weekend. Our fan base grew 69% during COVID. And yes, I think that tonight's event, some people probably tuned in for the first time, and hopefully they turned off before the co-main event, and they're big fans now.
Dana,
Hi, Dana.
can you just talk about Raul's performance in the opening bout? He obviously was a big favorite. He seemed to have the crowd behind him. Wasn't able to get the finish. What did you think of his performance, and what do you envision next for him?
Yeah, no, he's a great kid. I actually ran into him outside when he was just getting ready to leave after the fight. And, we'll keep doing what we do with a guy like him. Keep building him and putting him in fights that, hopefully push him and take him to another level. And we see what he can do. But he's a good kid. He's a tough kid. I like him.
Hola, Dana, buenas noches.
How are you, sir?
Todo muy bien. Venimos desde Chile. Perdón. Quiero saber su opinión sobre la pelea de Ignacio Bahamondes para la Televisión Nacional de Chile.
Coming from Chile, what your opinion was on the fight from Ignacio Bahamondes for all of Chile to see?
Yeah, what do I think of it?
Yeah.
I think that it was the, he got a performance of the night bonus, so he obviously came out and shined tonight. I think it was a great fight, and I loved it. And I don't know what else to tell you.
Ganó el bonus, ganó el performance y lució esta noche, no sé más qué decirte.
Perfecto. Dana, se está hablando en Chile, no sé si será real, eres tú la persona para decir si es cierto, que podría llegar pronto una fecha oficial de UFC con una pelea estelar de Ignacio. ¿Es real ese rumor?
There's been talk, and I'm not sure if you're the right person to talk about this, but or to talk to about this, but maybe a card in Chile with Ignacio Bahamondes as the headliner. Is that something possible?
Is he asking me if I want to do that, or
possibility.
or has he heard it was talked about?
Dijiste que hablaron acerca de eso.
Sí,
They have talked about it.
Yeah, I would definitely be the guy. I say this all the time. I want to go everywhere. We want to go everywhere, and obviously, when you end up having a star or a fighter who ends up being, whether he's very popular or high in the rankings, and you feel like he is somebody that you could bring to, like Dricus du Plessis. I'm very serious about Africa in 25. We're going to go there. I'm going to make this happen no matter what. Again, here we go. I don't care what it costs, but whatever it takes to get that done, we're going to go there. And then we want to go to Spain, too. The problem with Spain is they have so much going on there. All the arenas are booked up. They're backed up. Or I would have been in Spain this year. So, yes, it is not out of the question to go to Chile.
Bueno, soy definitivamente la persona con quien hablar, así que hablaste con la persona correcta. Sí, cuando tenemos una estrella que o es porque es popular, porque está en ascenso, porque está en el ranking, intentamos llevar a esa persona para impulsionar el mercado. Y así como Dricus du Plessis, por ejemplo, algo que he hablado, no me importa el costo, yo lo voy a pagar, queremos hacerlo en Sudáfrica, queremos hacer una pelea en África, tanto que quería hacerla en España. Lamentablemente, si no fuera por el hecho de que todas las arenas en España están siempre a pleno, ya habría hecho ahora. O sea, sería en España ese año. O sea, sí, existe la posibilidad.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Dana.
Por acá también, un
Yes,
segundo. Para Chile también, el día de ayer La Jaulita, el hermano pequeño de Ignacio, ganó su primer título. ¿Será posible en un futuro tener las dos jaulas dentro de la compañía?
From Chile as well, La Juelita. Ignacio Bahamondes' younger brother actually just won his first title. Well, could it be possible that we would have brothers fighting in the UFC?
Interesting. How old is he?
¿La edad? ¿Qué edad tiene?
17 años.
17 years old.
Damn. Okay. What's his record?
¿Y cuál es el retrospecto?
5-0.
¿Cómo
He's
es que
5-0.
No,
Cartel.
cinco wins.
He's 5-0.
And he's pro? Pro? Amateur?
¿Y, y está profesional o amateur?
Oh, sí,
Yeah.
su primer título.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you see him on the Contender Series soon. Yes.
En absoluto, en contender, ¿por qué no?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Dana,
Yeah.
Aidana, we saw you speaking in Spanish at the entrance today.
Yeah. I'm good, right?
Yeah, with the AI, could you try some Spanish today for the?
Who said that was AI?
Well, I think so.
What's your question?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't speak Spanish, and that was AI. Pretty good, right?
Would you
So
try-
remember the whole Howie Mandel podcast? That was where I discovered that's his company. It's Howie Mandel's company, a company called Pronto. And we've been looking for the opportunity to work with him, and it worked out perfectly for Mexican Independence Day. Because if I was just standing in the box speaking, it wouldn't be as impressive as it was with my Spanish. No, it's a very cool thing he's got there, and I don't know what your question is, but I hope I answered it.
And how was to compete with the Canelo fight also tonight here in Las Vegas?
What do you mean? How was it to compete with it?
Well, not compete, but to have a fight for Canelo this day for the.
Yeah, but this wasn't about Canelo or Heyman. You know, they're doing their thing. I'm doing my thing. This was the arena guy at MGM. This was between me and him, and we kicked arena guy's ass. So, yeah, I'm good. I don't know if that's what you asked me, but that's the answer.
And how important is for you the Latin American audience?
What's the question?
How important is for you the Latin American audience?
The audience, how important for you is the Latin American audience?
Well, every audience all over the world is important to me. You know, the whole Latin American thing is more of a personal thing for me because of growing up being a boxing fan, and I could go on for 25 minutes about this, and none of you guys want to hear this shit, but yeah, it's a big deal to me. Yes, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Every Diego Lopez fight, he goes and talks to you. What did he ask
Yeah,
this time?
usually he's really nice. Tonight he wasn't nice at all. He was screaming at me, "Give me my title shot! I get the title shot now." Yeah, he was very angry tonight. It wasn't the usual happy-go-lucky, smiling Diego Lopez. He was fucking screaming at me. He was all fired up tonight.
He seems like he want to go to Abu Dhabi as a backup fighter. Is that a possibility, or?
We'd do anything with that guy. Even though he was screaming at me tonight, I really like him. So, yeah, he could be.
And with the trilogy tied now, what would you like for Valentina? Would you like her to fight someone else? Manon was here.
I don't know. Tonight, I don't know. You know I don't know tonight. Matchmaking on Tuesday. I'm so fucking tired I can barely even sit in this chair.
Then by Tuesday, maybe you will be talking about it. Is it going to be in Mexico next year, or Dallas, Arizona, some of the places you mentioned?
Yeah, I think, you know, this week we got to start thinking about where we want to go next year and lock that date in before somebody takes it from me. Texas, Arizona, Mexico. Mexico would obviously make sense. I had a luncheon with all the Mexican media the other day, and they were telling me that in Guadalajara, there's a really nice new arena down there. So, to be honest with you, that's I'm going to look at that first.
It's operated by the same company that runs the Mexico City arena. So,
Yep, take a look at that.
I'll stay till Tuesday and I'll ask you again.
Yeah, call me Tuesday.
Thank you.
Dana, the arena that you mentioned you had a meeting about tonight, which Las Vegas arena proposal is that?
There's a lot, right? They're floating around like crazy. This is one that I heard about a week ago. That sounds really amazing, but we will be a big part of that thing if it happens.
Has it not been talked about yet, or?
I don't know.
In the
I don't know if
media?
it's been talked about publicly. I don't know.
Also curious, I may have missed it, but was Oscar de la Hoya included in any of the tributes tonight?
I did. Yeah, he was in the video.
Okay.
He was in the video. He's an asshole, but you can't deny what he did. I mean, the guy, you know what I mean? He's a fucking lunatic. But he was a bad boy in his day.
Will actually happen.
That what will happen?
That it will actually happen, given his history.
I'm sorry, who was it?
John Jones.
Oh, John Jones? Well, John Jones is running loose and wild here tonight in Las Vegas, so let's hope we... Hunter, you babysitting him tonight? No?
Ryan Garcia.
Who is? Oh, they're out tonight. I hope that's not true. Listen, John promised me tonight that he's going to be good while he's in Las Vegas. So,
There's just one quick one here. Obviously, the Michael Chandler fight was announced. He's fighting Charles. He was here doing some media with us, and he said he's known about this for 4 weeks. He just kind of kept it secret. He couldn't remember whose idea it was to fight Charles in MSD. Do you remember who presented that idea? Was it Mike that approached you, or did you guys approach Mike to like maybe move on from the Conor?
I don't remember either.
Dana in the back,
Yep.
in the middle here.
Yes, ma'am.
Last year, Canelo decided to go on September 30th instead of Mexican Independence Day weekend, going head-to-head with UFC. This year, he did go on the same night as UFC. Are you going to keep that date, Mexican Independence Day weekend, and perhaps move it around the world, or stay in Las Vegas?
Yeah, no, we just talked about this. We're going to go, I just said Guadalajara. I'm definitely looking at that seriously, and then we could look at Arizona, we could look at Mexico. Yeah. I'm actually happy he went tonight. MGM guaranteed him $25 million on the gate, and Canelo did good. So good for him. I'm happy for him. Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great weekend.